In today's episode, I will teach you how to manipulate the stock market. Now remember, this is not something that Blizzard wants you to do, so you want to be absolutely certain that they aren't watching you watching this video. If they find out, they might Welcome back to Diablo 2 for Dummies. This series is meant for all the new players joining us veterans in Diablo 2 Resurrected. My name is Rejnols and let me teach you how to get rich. I will also teach you a bit of a secret that has appeared with the release of Diablo 2 Resurrected, allowing you to lose less gold when you do die. Before we go any further, tell me in the comments below what you will be spending all your gold on. You absolutely need to tell me this, because I can't just give you all the secrets to earning major stonks without knowing you'll spend the gold responsibly. Before we talk about how to earn more gold, perhaps it would be a good idea to ask why we need the gold. This is not some kind of philosophical question, more like what do you actually need to use gold for, and what should you be spending your gold on. Most commonly, we spend gold on potions, teleportation scrolls, perhaps some antidotes and falling potions for certain bosses. Outside of that, most gold is spent at vendors to get usually small upgrades for our gear. This could be getting a larger belt, allowing us to carry more potions, maybe some boots that have some faster run and walk speed, or potentially you've just been really unlucky and not got an upgrade for a certain armor piece and it happens to be a slightly better one at one of the vendors. Occasionally, you might also need to spend a bit on repairing your equipment, but often enough this isn't very expensive and doesn't take up a lot of gold. However, there are some classes that tend to spend a bit more gold at vendors than other classes. These are usually the Sorceress, the Necromancer, the Druid, and the Paladin. The reason why these classes spend more gold is because they tend to look for wands, staffs, and scepters with +1, +2, or even +3 to certain skills. You can shop for these weapons as early as Act 1, but they don't always come for cheap. Therefore, a lot of the gold you earn early on as these classes will go directly into funding of a weapon to make yourself more powerful. But as you're probably aware by now, you don't exactly drown in gold when you start playing. Let's start off by looking at some ways to increase the amount of gold that will drop from monsters. The first way to increase the amount of gold dropping is by having more players in the game. I couldn't find any specific numbers for it, but most people seem to agree that at a 5+ player party, every monster in the game will drop something upon death. Now this could be a potion or a teleportation scroll, but when they do drop something all the time, there is a bigger chance of it being gold. Now, if you don't have any friends, just like me, there are still other ways to increase gold gain. Much like you can find gear that increases your chance of finding magic items, you can also get gear that will increase your gold find. This stat is usually a lot higher than magic find, as finding gold isn't as valuable as finding a good unique or set item, so when you do find items that has gold find on it, it will usually be at pretty high percentages. While you can get gold find on just about every piece of gear in the game, it can be a bit of a hassle having to change your entire build just to get some more gold find. But there is a way around that, because there is one item that will not change how your character works while still increasing your gold find. And those items are, of course, charms. Charms work simply by being in your inventory, so you don't need to change anything in your build to earn more gold. Now, if your belt, for example, isn't very useful and you happen to find a belt that gives 50% more gold find, it's probably a good idea to still equip it, but you can get away with just using charms if you just want to earn a bit of gold without having to change up too much. And then once you're done farming gold, you can always just remove the charms from your inventory and put them in your stash to use for another time. So when it comes to gold find on charms, here are the numbers. Small charms can drop with 5 to 10% gold find. Large charms can drop with 5 to 22% gold find. Grand charms can drop with 10 to 40% gold find. And the unique grand charm known as Geet's Fortune can drop with 160% gold find as well as 40% magic find. Now, perhaps you haven't been lucky enough to find charms with gold find on them, or maybe you just really don't want to go and just farm monsters just for gold. Maybe you're looking for a way to passively earn quite a decent amount of gold while just playing through the game or farming for a specific item. And ladies and gentlemen, you're in absolute luck. Because the way I've earned most of my gold so far playing for the last few days, which I've just made it to Nightmare and I have almost 1 million gold saved up, is quite simply selling class unique item or staffs, wands, and scepters with plus to any skills. Now you might remember at the start of the video I mentioned that these staffs that necromancers and sorceresses, druids, and paladins are looking for can be quite expensive. Well, guess what? They also sell for quite a lot. Take a look at this example on screen right now. I have a completely normal white orb staff for a sorceress, and while it's not terrible, it's nothing special, but it sells for 30, 30,000 gold. And these drop all the time. Now, they might not all be 30,000 gold worth, but many of them are 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and all you have to do is just pay attention to when any kind of staff, wand, scepter, that kind of item drops. Check it out, see if it has plus to any skills, and if it does, keep it on you, go back and sell it, and you'll earn a lot of gold very quickly. As I said, this is just an extremely fast way to earn gold, and even better, because these staffs are usually meant for a specific class, they often also drop with plus to certain skills, making it even easier to make a lot of money. The benefit of farming gold this way is that you don't have to go to any specific area in the game, you don't have to look for any specific monsters, you don't have to worry about gold find, you just play through the game, keep an eye open for these class items and staffs, wands, whatever, and when you find them, you pick them up and remember to sell them for some big gold profits. Now let's say that you have a lot of gold find because you got some good items or charms, etc. Where should you go to farm gold? Well, here are a few locations. Let me mention real quick that these do not change depending on whether it's nightmare or hell, but obviously you'll earn more gold playing on higher difficulties, so play where you can clear it in a reasonable amount of time. Let's just get it out of the way. The most popular gold farm is probably the High Council in Act 3. These guys can be found at the Travinkel waypoint, that's a funny word. And yeah, they just tend to drop a lot of gold when you kill them. The good thing about farming this spot is that they always spawn in the same area, the waypoint is always in the same spot, so you can always know you just head to the waypoint and then go east and you will find the High Council. Easy to find, generous amount of gold drops, just a good way to farm gold in general. If you are in need of gold and haven't made it to Act 3 yet for whatever reason, you can also farm in Act 1. Now, there isn't really a great place for it, but I would recommend the tower in Black Marsh, the same place where you defeat the Countess and farm for early game runes. It's a fairly small dungeon, so there's not a lot of monsters, but there is one group of unique or champion monsters on every level of the tower. And unique and champion monsters tend to drop a decent amount of gold, and there's the added benefit of them also dropping items that can be sold for even more gold. Bale's throne room in Act 5 is another decent way of farming gold, as he of course spawns a rather tight and large group of monsters at short intervals. Once again, you have the benefit of the monsters dropping items you can sell for even more gold. Now maybe you want to have the best of both worlds and have gold and items to sell drop at the same time. And the absolute best place for that must be the secret cow level. Because these milky motherfuckers seem to have a decent monopoly on the milk industry because they drop gold like there was no tomorrow. The high number of cow clusters, I'm not fairly certain if I just made up that word or it existed already, also means that they are easy to farm with any character that has some kind of AoE damage. And now for the secret tip I promised at the start of this video, how to lose less gold when you do die in Diablo 2. Because earning gold is all fine and dandy until you die and lose like 20,000. Luckily for you, my friend and I, and possibly a billion other people out there, found a way to minimize how much gold you lose every time you die. First of all, you probably know that you can deposit gold in your stash. If you do this, you will not drop any gold when you die, except for the ones you've already picked up before you died. However, even if you have 0 gold on you and you die, you will lose some of the gold that's in your stash, and that can be really annoying. It turns out that this is only the case if you have gold in your personal stash. With Diablo 2 Resurrected, they changed how the stash works to include a personal stash as well as a share stash, so people didn't have to run back and forth and deliver items and gold. And if you put all the gold into your share stash, you won't actually lose anything when you die. Let me take you over to live Rejnols for a demonstration. Thank you very much, post commentary Rejnols. This is live Rejnols, the actual alive version of me. Now, to demonstrate what exactly I mean, let's show it visually, because that's just how people learn a bit easier. Here we are in my stash. As you can see, there are exactly 0 gold in here, as well as 0 gold on my person. However, over on my share stash, I have like 790,000 gold. Now, if those 790,000 gold were over here in my personal stash and I died, I would lose a certain amount of that gold. But what we found out is that if you don't have any gold in your personal stash and you die, you don't lose any gold. Now, just to show you, I'm just gonna remove all my equipment here so these guys can kill me a bit easier, and I'll show you that I don't lose any gold. And there you have it. I died, but because I didn't have any gold in my stash, I didn't lose any. This also works for Nightmare and Hell. I just use that normal as an example, because if you die on Nightmare or Hell, you do actually lose experience. You might not know that, but now you do. Thank you very much to Live Rejnols for that demonstration and explanation. With that, we've come to the end of this episode of Diablo 2 for Dummies. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to check out the other episodes in this series.